Yesterday was Sunday. It was supposed to be, you know, a nice, relaxing, rainy day, stay indoors, take it easy. But no, it didn't actually rain, so I proceeded to spend 4 hours of my afternoon learning how to replace the crankshaft seal on a V6 Toyota Tacoma engine with my dad. So here's everything I learned as a person who does not know a lot about fixing cars. It actually was a lot of fun and not as hard as you would think. The coolant is pink. I don't know what I was expecting, and I'm sure I knew this at some point, but now it's definitely solidified. And I believe there's different colors depending on, like, the make of your vehicle. There's a table and chart for that. After removing the tubes from the condenser and taking that unit out, I learned there's Freon inside, and it's neon green colored. So before you can remove the radiator from the car, you need to loosen the hoses attached to it, and those are clamped onto the radiator with these hose clamps. There's a tool that actually makes it easier for you. As you might have guessed it, they're called hose clamp pliers, and these ones have extra reach.
And it locks it here, so you can actually move the clamp on the outside of the barb and leave it there. Okay.
Unrelated to the following clips, but I learned there's actually two horns, one low and one high-pitched one, and they're usually labeled with a circle around an H and around an L for high and low respectively. The high one is typically pointed down and the low one facing sideways. One of my favorite things I learned was that you can actually loosen the crankshaft bolt that holds the pulley onto it using the engine itself. We put a appropriately sized socket and ratchet onto that bolt, and then we strapped the ratchet to one of the members of the car frame. Then we turned on the engine and the bolt loosened. I've linked the reference YouTube video we used to do this in the description below. I think it's loose.
See how it still looks like?
There's pretty much a tool for everything. Like in this case, we had a specific tool for removing the seal off the crankshaft, although with some trial and error, it didn't really work that well, so we went with a more destructive route, which was fine because we didn't need the old seal anyway. I learned that these are a thing, and they're used to hold the radiator fan blade on. They're, according to Google, called double-ended threaded studs, which I have never seen before, surprisingly.
That's my innovation. Give me that up. That's how I pull the seals.
I learned that the oil seal actually has a spring around it, and this spring is used to provide a load around the sealing circumference, basically keeping the sealing lip very tight against the crankshaft surface so that no oil comes out.
The seal has it.
For the shaft?
No, for the seal. Here, this. That's important so it's not damaged where it sits. Somewhere here. Here.
I also learned that on this particular car, the serpentine belt is not that hard to replace, and you can just find a diagram to follow how to reroute the belt. And you readjust the tension using the tensioner pulley, which is what we had to loosen to help remove the belt in the first place. Fun fact, the oil drain plug has a magnet on the end, and this is to collect and remove any metal shavings or particles from the engine oil. I learned it's enough to just hand tighten your new oil filter. That is, of course, if you can even reach it. Sometimes the way the car is put together in the front makes it a little bit harder, so they have like a special ratcheting tool to help you remove and retighten it. But in this case, hand tightening was enough because it was within reach.
How it bubbles.
I also learned that you should top off your coolant and oil after running the engine for a bit. This is because the levels will drop after they circulate through the car parts when the engine has been on and running. So you get a better idea of what the levels of those liquids are after the fact, and how much more you need to add until the fill line. And last but not least, the job usually takes longer than you think it will. But I guess that doesn't just go for car DIY jobs though. Thank you for sticking through this video. I know it's a bit different, but I wanted to share something new. There are a lot of things that I don't know, or topics I'm not fully comfortable with, but I don't let that intimidate me. Every experience is an opportunity to learn, and you don't always need to know it all or to excel in something. Learning is where it starts, and it helps introduce new ways of seeing and breaking down problems, and it can be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's everything I learned while helping my dad change the crankshaft seal on our Toyota Tacoma, as well as doing an oil change and refilling our radiator.